I had to begin to focus on what was the solution. That this was not the only place that I'll be able to sell those products. And as I began to challenge myself and got some help and support and some other input, I eventually did. It took longer, but it was challenging. But I did it. Repeat after me, please. No matter how bad it is, or how bad it gets, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. Shake somebody's hand on your right and left and say, you got that right. Repeat after me, please. It's possible. I can have my dream. I can get what I want. I must be creative and never give up. Now, let me share something else with you, ladies and gentlemen. When you know within yourself that there's something you want to do, and I believe that all of us were born with a purpose, that all of us have something that we are supposed to do, that all of us have some goodness within us, and that goodness gives us a responsibility to manifest our greatness. And when you know that, you can feel it in your guts, and you know that you're deliberately operating below your potential, you've gotten comfortable, you stop expanding, you stop stretching, you stop challenging yourself. Let me share something else with you. Not only is it possible for you to have your dream, but it's necessary. It's necessary that you have it, that you work on it, that you develop yourself, that you go for what is yours in the universe. I have a friend that at the beginning of the year I was in Los Angeles giving a speech, and I do a seminar teaching people how to become involved in the speaking business, and also one called Speaking with Power, teaching people how to begin to develop their communication skills. And this friend, I said, I want you to work with me. I called her up. She said, Les, are you sure I can do it? Sure you can. You have a PhD in communications. I don't have that. If I can do it, sure you can do it. In fact, I'm going to give you the support that you need. Here's what I realized, ladies and gentlemen. We only have enough energy to take us to a certain level, but it's necessary that we assemble ourselves with other people who share our vision, other people that can see it for us, to give ourselves a home court advantage. So it's necessary that you seek out other people who think like you, who are growing, who've decided that they are not satisfied with where they are. See, I don't believe that necessity is the mother of invention. No, necessity, in my opinion, is not the mother of invention. Refusing to accept things the way that they are is the mother of invention. When you decide, I'm not going to settle for this, this is not going to be it for my life, I deserve more than this. See, that will start making you do some stuff. See, a lot of people go to work every day miserable, and all they do is just talk about how miserable they are, but they don't do anything about it. So I was telling her that I knew she hated her job with a passion. I said, you can do this. You got more going for you than I have going for me. And we've been going through this for years, ladies and gentlemen. She'd been to my seminar speaking for a living. She brought her husband, and that was one of the major problems that I realized that happened in her life. He couldn't see it for her. So you got to make sure that you have people in your life that can see it for you, that will encourage you. Non-affirming relationships can hurt you. And I talked to him. I said, I don't have anything to do with your marriage. I said, you and I are good friends, and she and I are good friends. And I'm not taking sides. I said, but if you can't see it for her, don't tell her that. Just give her some support. What if you're wrong? It's possible, man, that if I'm doing it, she can do it. Well, you're different. How are you going to tell me that? You've seen her speak. She's got great speaking skills. Don't underestimate her. You don't know. You got a great woman here. But you see, people who can't see it for themselves can't see it for you. He was happy. So I said, will you do it with me? I said, I'm going to give you the support you need. You can't do it by yourself. I will stand with you. She said, you will? I said, yes. I'm going to make you a part of my seminar. You'll do a part of it, and I'll do a part of it. Speaking with Power. She said, okay. 3 days later, ladies and gentlemen, I got an emergency call at my office. It was from her husband. He called and said, tell Les Brown that Marion is dead. I said, oh no. When I was flying there to go to the funeral, and I remember the last time that I saw her, and I had some of her papers that I had gotten inadvertently confused with mine, and I took them home. And I was searching through these papers to do one of her works. She was a prolific writer. And what was so sad that made me begin to cry was that there were poems that she had started that were profound poems, great thoughts that she didn't complete. Plays that she had started that she didn't complete. See, that poem was given to her. I can't finish that for her, nor can you. That play, whatever the outcome that she had envisioned, that she had imagined, was given to her. Only her. And she's the channel that was going to come through. You are here, and you are the vessel. You are the outlet for the universe. That you've been selected. There's something for you to do. I believe all of us have some purpose for being here. And as I was going to the funeral, and I was reading a newspaper that said that millions of people are dying because of what they're eating, talking about their diet. And I'm sure that it was Marion talking to me, whispering, saying, Les, the next time you speak, say that even more are dying because of what's eating them.
Are you ready for something miraculous? One of the little boys that Rod Crew mentored was a guy named Conrad Rohn. Conrad Rohn was an NFL football player eventually. Rod met him when he was a little boy, same age when he met me. Conrad was the same age when he met me. And he took an interest in Conrad and believed in him. And Conrad went on to play for the Ravens and other NFL teams. He was in his off season, he was working out at the gym. Rod hadn't seen him in many, many years. He felt a click behind his right eye. He called his brother and said, I think something's wrong. His dad said, we feared it was an aneurysm. Are you ready? This is a little boy that Rod Crew mentored. At the same time that happened, Rod had a massive heart attack on a golf course and nearly died. At the same time, he nearly died. Thank God he was on the first hole and they were able to resuscitate him. And he was left with a few days to live. While Rod was in the hospital, Conrad passed away. Conrad donated a heart. Conrad was 29 years old. That heart saved Rod Crew's life, and he's still alive today. So, the lesson from that is that there's a payoff, and even if there wasn't, you should do it. But the investment of belief in people, sowing seeds of belief, that's what makes you a leader. People say, what makes me a leader? Makes you a leader is your example. What makes you a leader is you investing belief and loving and caring about people. Any one of you in this moment could decide you're going to lead, because leadership is instilling something in someone that they don't see in themselves. Loving on them, believing them, seeing their giftedness. All of you, I don't care if you're loud or quiet, big here or small here, you could be a leader. The bottom line is you need to decide you want to lead. You need to decide it's worth it. Our company's looking for leaders, and it's about your destiny. If you invest in enough people, there's a payoff for your destiny. I'm telling you right now, the more I'm here, the longer I'm here, my heart knows we're a company of destiny. We're a company where dreams come true. We're a company that stands for something. We're a company that changes lives. We're a company where dreams happen for people. You got to believe that. You got to believe you got a destiny. I hope you're hearing those people sitting with you saying, you can do this. You belong here. This is where you belong. This is where you can make it. I want to talk about becoming a leader for a second. You got to feel and know you're going to lead. It's not just going to happen. You have to make it happen. A few things you need to know is, listen, no one's going to do anything for you. A couple rules of being a real leader. You need to take responsibility for your own life. Bringing energy to your team. Leading in recruiting. Leading in leadership. Leading in growth. Nobody owes you anything, but you owe other people everything. That's what a leader does. You take responsibility. You know exactly right now what you're not doing. It would be criminal of you to leave here and say, I don't know what to do. You know exactly what you're afraid of. You know exactly what you've been avoiding, and you got to make a decision to change it. You know exactly what it is. Don't BS anybody. You know what you need to do different. You know the changes you need to make, and if you can do that, you stop kidding yourself, you can win. You can overcome your fear, overcome procrastination, whatever that is. You know exactly what it is. Number two, you got to compete. I agree with what Monty said yesterday. You don't have to be number one, but dadgummit, you better want to compete to be the best version of you could possibly be. Your desire and will to win is everything. I believe you win with intangibles, with emotion, with energy, with passion. And you got to bring that. You know what we're really looking for right here? We're looking for some dogs, man, some road dogs. We're looking for some people that want to get aggressive. How many road dogs we got out there? You know what I mean, right? I hear ladies go sometimes, some of the guys who, I don't know if I got a road dog in me. Ladies, let me tell you something. The hardest core road dogs in the world are women. Hey, ladies, here's how we know. What if someone messed with your kid at school? You know how you get? You slap the hell out of a little kid if you have to, don't you? You don't give a crap. Well, guess what, ladies? Listen to me. You're letting the world slap the hell out of your family, and you're not doing anything about it. You're letting life slap the hell out of your kids and you. You're settling for average, aren't you? You're settling for ordinary, aren't you? See, you may not see the slap, but you can feel it. You need to stop letting the world slap your family around. It's time that stops right now. You say, that's the end of this. This family wins now. I'm leading this family. Change happens now. Say yes.
Stop letting people hold you to your past. Yeah, man, I got what I used to do, but I'm trying to do better now. Stop letting people tie you to what they saw you do 5, 10 years ago. You can go on the internet and say whatever you want to say about me in the past. Got all that. Was who I was, but I am who I am, and I'm cool with both of them people. You got to be not all right to get all right. You got to be lost to get saved. You got to have been through something to know something. So please, get comfortable with that get comfortable with that part. I don't know what I'm doing on time, so I'm just gonna go ahead. Okay, cool, here we go. This is the one I really wanted to do because this one describes my life to the T. When I left college, I flunked out of college after 3 years. When I worked at Ford Motor Company, one of the last jobs I had because of the layoffs was they put me in the foundry. I learned a valuable lesson in the foundry because I used to be a foundry worker at Ford Motor Company. I'm now a spokesperson for Ford. Let me tell you how the flip went. A lot of people don't know, but in the foundry, they was making engine blocks. Engine blocks start with scrap metal. See, people, you think old cars just go away. No, they go to junkyards. Companies take this scrap metal and they melt the metal down. But it starts with scrap. They run it through a furnace, and when it gets in the furnace, they liquefy the metal. Then they take this metal and they pour it into a mold. This mold is the engine block. But when you pour it in there, it's just hot. It's just hot. It ain't nothing. And you think that you can't do nothing with that. But then something comes along and gets a hold of it. Something comes and gets a hold of it. It takes this hot piece of mess that was scrap. It lifts it. It dips it. It cools it. It refinishes it. It hardens it. And then it puts it on a conveyor belt. When it come out the conveyor belt, my job was to hit it with a sludge hammer and knock the loose flashing out. That's empty, extra metal on it. And then you have an engine block. The basic of any engine is the block. You got a cracked block, you can throw that engine away. It don't work. But the block starts from scrap metal. This really how God do it, though. See, God takes scrap. All engine blocks is scrap. He takes scrap. Come on, Steve. Come on. He mold it. He pour into it. Then it come out, he cool it. He shape and he start putting stuff on it. He start attaching pieces to it. He put a manifold on it. He put the rocker arm on it. He put the exhaust on it. He put spark plugs on it. He put a carburetor on it. He put a fan belt, water pump, and he take it and he put it in a car. But all of it started when it was a piece of scrap metal, man. We cannot do as Christians is just cause we the car now. You can't look at the dude that's in the furnace that's just wet liquid. That's a hot mess. You can't look back at the scrap pile and go, they just scraps, man. Cause what you don't understand is you got to have that scrap so you can make a block, so God can put stuff on it. So when you put it on it, you can be a car one day. I just want everybody to let everybody be a block, man. Let them be a hot mess in a furnace. Let them be a scrap, man. You ain't got nothing to do with that. That's God right there, man. That's all I'm trying to say. That's all.
You got to get ready mentally. And this is where Shof went to work on me, to be ready mentally, to develop the philosophy and also be able to defend your virtues and your value. Let's go through it. You need a good library. Shof got me started on my library. Here's one of the books he recommended. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Think and Grow Rich. Shof said to me, doesn't that book and title intrigue you? Think and Grow Rich. Don't you have to read that book? Think and Grow Rich. I said, yes, sir. By Napoleon Hill. I went and found that book in a used bookstore. That's where I had to start. In a used bookstore. I paid less than 50 cents for it. I've still got it. It's one of the rare hardback covers. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Wow, Shof was right. Get a library started. It'll change your life. Any home over $200,000 has got a library. Why do you suppose that is? Wouldn't that make you curious? How come every home over $200,000 has got a library? Does that tell you something? Does that educate you at all? You say, well, I can't afford a $200,000 home. It doesn't matter what size home. Take your present apartment, clean out a closet, call it your library, and start acting intelligent. And start this process like I did. Start developing a library. Here's what your library needs to show: that you're a serious student of health and life, spirituality, culture, uniqueness, sophistication, economics, prosperity, productivity, sales, management, skills, values of all kinds. Let your library show you're a serious student. Don't be casual in learning. Don't be lazy in learning. Information is the key. Learning is the beginning of wealth. Learning is the beginning of health. Learning is the beginning of prosperity. Learning is the beginning of democracy, the beginning of freedom. All values, all virtues start with the learning process. So don't be lazy in learning. Don't be lazy in gathering the library that'll teach you and instruct you. And I got that book, Think and Grow Rich. Some of the ideas in that book inspired me no end, helped me to change my life. Now, it's got some weird stuff in it. It's got some weird stuff. Napoleon was weird, so you gotta separate out a little of this weird stuff. But you can do that. You can separate out the weird stuff, okay? Unless you're weird, just do the weird stuff. Anyway, remember, don't be a follower, be a student. That's the key to all books. Don't be a follower, be a student. Okay. Another book he recommended, Help Me Become Financially Independent. We're going to cover that before we finish this afternoon. The book was entitled The Richest Man in Babylon. The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clason, C-L-A-S-O-N. This little book, The Richest Man in Babylon, I use it as a textbook, teaching teenagers how to be rich by 40, living in America. 35 if you're extra bright, much sooner if you find a unique opportunity. I got rich by the time I was 31, didn't wait till 35. You find a unique opportunity. So we'll get into that after we come back from our next break. Richest Man in Babylon. Get your library started. Here are some key sections to put in your library called mental food. In fact, we call it food for thought. It's so important to nourish the mind, not just the body, but nourish the mind. Key phrase. Now it needs to be well balanced. You can't live on mental candy. Somebody says, well, I just read this positive stuff. That's too second grade. You've got to get out of second grade. You can't just be inspired. You've got to be taught. You can't just be inspired. You've got to be educated. Here's a good book. It's called How to Read a Book. Good title. How to Read a Book by Mortimer Adler. In this book, How to Read a Book, Mortimer, is the chief editor of the new Encyclopedia Britannica. A good set of books, right, to have in your library. The Encyclopedia Britannica, chief editor, Mortimer Adler. He's in his 80s. He's still active, still writing books. I've got several of his books. The 6 Great Ideas, a lot of books. Mortimer Adler. But he wrote this book, How to Read a Book. Now, in this book, How to Read a Book, not only does he give you some good suggestions on how to get the most out of a book. It's one thing to read it. It's another thing to get the best out of it. He'll give you some techniques on how to get the best out of a book. It's very good. But here's what's also in his book, How to Read a Book. A list of what he calls the best writings ever written. The best writings ever written. I've used it as a centerpiece for my library. So I'm just asking you, take a look. If it suits you, fine. If it doesn't suit you, hey, keep looking till you find something to suit you. But well balanced. Let me give you some of that balance. Number 1, history. We've all got to have a sense of history. American history, national history, international history, family history, political history. We all need a sense of history. Shortest history lesson. Opportunity mixed with difficulty. No matter how far back you go, 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 3,000, 4,000 years ago, I'm telling you, it all reads the same. Once you understand the thread that it isn't going to change, then what's going to change for my life? Answer. Looks like I'm going to have to change. History helps us to understand how it is, what there is to work with, seed, soil, sunshine, rain, and what human beings have done with it in the past, and how many of them have, like I did by age 25, they have messed up. That's what history's for. Be a good student of history. Here's a good book, Lessons of History by Durand. Lessons of History by Durand. This little book is only 100 pages, but I'm telling you, it's so well written, you'll be intrigued, as I was. This little book, Lessons of History by Durand. Next is philosophy. Durand also wrote a good book on philosophy. The Story of Philosophy. It's got a good rundown of the key philosophers of the last several hundred years, what they taught and some of the lives they lived. You might find it a little difficult, but hey, you can't just read the easy stuff. Key phrase to add here in parentheses, don't just read the easy stuff. You won't grow. You won't change. You won't develop. Tackle the more difficult stuff. Next, novels. Novels are good. Sometimes an intriguing story keeps our attention so that the author can weave in the philosophy he or she is trying to get across. Ayn Rand was probably better at that than anybody else I could possibly think of. Atlas Shrugged, some of those towering novels. The novel kept us intrigued, but guess what she was doing all the time? Feeding us her philosophy, feeding us her philosophy. Now, whether you agreed with her philosophy or not, you had to admit she was really good at getting it out there, weaving it through the story, in the dialogue and in the speeches and in the text. Novels are good. Now, here's a little personal advice. Skip the trash. Somebody says, well, sometimes you can find something valuable in a trashy novel. I wouldn't go through it to find it. You can find a crust of bread in a garbage can, but I wouldn't go through it. Number one, you don't need the reputation. So not enough time to read the brilliant stuff, the good stuff. Skip the trash, really. My personal advice on personal development, becoming more valuable than you are.
So 3 things before we get started. I just want to make sure you own it, right? Give me the first one. Good. Stop doing what? Go ahead and take ownership of your life. It's yours. Don't nobody owe you nothing. I'm keeping it 100. Like, I don't mean nothing bad, but like, I'm doing it. Somebody text, where you at? I'm ministering. I can't answer your call right now. I don't talk to you for a month. Like, you got 2 types of friends. You got one group, you don't talk to them for a month because you grinding, and they like, oh, he grinding. You got the other group, why he ain't called me? I'm like, what? You ain't called, you just, what's going on? You a taker. At no point that you pray, he ain't called me in a week, he must be refreshed. The Lord bless his refreshment. Like, you should want, if we cool, you should want me to get to 100% so I can have something to give you. You're trying to take the little 20% I got. I got 20 left. You like, let me get that too. So I need you to take full ownership of your life. I need you to stop blaming. Here's the deal. Even if they did it to you, you let them. You gave them permission to do it. It's some stuff, my son had hit me up and I was talking to his mom, and his mom was just like, yo, it's some stuff that people just don't even call me on. Like, for real, my wife, like, don't nobody ever call me for a ride. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wonder why they don't. She like, they don't even feel comfortable calling me for no ride. Like, can you scoop me and take me I need a ride to the bus station? She like, I don't never get them kind of calls. Because nothing about me say I'm giving you a ride to the bus. Ain't nothing on me to say that. You don't never look at me and like, I can get a ride from her. I look like I could borrow $200 from her. You don't never get that look when you see Didi that you can get $200. I'm talking to somebody, you like, why they keep calling me? Because some on you say call you. Some on you say I want to be abused. Some on you say it. You just brought, look, or what my wife will say, if you got 200 from me and you never call me again, that's your last, that's it. Me and you cool. If it costs $200 to get rid of you for the rest of your life, here go to 200. But don't ever call me again till I get my 200 back. So some of you in this room, you're giving people permission to abuse you, to talk to you like that. And you need to put up a new sign saying we under construction. 2019, it's a brand new year, just put under construction. Don't call me with that no more. Y'all ready? Come on, y'all ready? Yeah. Come on, y'all ready? Yeah. Praise God. Now you wait, let me see the calendars again. Let's start getting ready. God, I'm about to blow your mind here, right there. Put that there. Yeah. Oh, hallelujah. Put that right there. Yeah. All right. So God gave me this for you. John 21, 3-9. God put this in my spirit for you. Amen. He loves you so much. He loves you so much, and you think you going through it, God going through it with you living like that. He's so hurt. He didn't create you to be broke. He's so hurt. You're on your third relationship. He's so hurt. He like, I need you to get this together. You so hurt. You've not experienced marital bliss, and you've been married for a grip. God's so hurt. He was like, I want to bless you. Go read it for yourself. He said that I want to bless you.
My father was a pump operator at the city water plant, and he was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis when my brother and I were young. And even as a kid, I knew there were plenty of days when he was in pain. And I knew there were plenty of mornings when it was a struggle for him to simply get out of bed. But every morning, I watched my father wake up with a smile, grab his walker, prop himself up against the bathroom sink and slowly shave and button his uniform. And when he returned home after a long day's work, my brother and I would stand at the top of the stairs of our little apartment, patiently waiting to greet him, watching as he reached down to lift one leg and then the other to slowly climb his way into our arms. But despite these challenges, my dad hardly ever missed a day of work. He and my mom were determined to give me and my brother the kind of education they could only dream of.
What has been the best advice you received from your teacher or professor?
Oh, I've gotten a lot of great advice from teachers, mentors, professors throughout the years. So first of all, you gotta be open to taking some risks and not being afraid to fail. Failure is the key to success. So when you get to college, you got to raise your hand. You have to be engaged. Don't be the kid thinking, oh, I shouldn't be here, and maybe I'm not smart enough, and maybe, no. You are more than capable of going to college, being successful, and going on and doing whatever you want in life. I sit here because I am you all. There is no difference between me and you. Working class kid, growing up on the south side of Chicago, growing up with doubts and fears, just like all of you all do. I know exactly how you all are feeling, and kids out there who are thinking, maybe I'm not ready, maybe I'm not good enough, maybe I can't afford it. But what teachers and mentors have told me is that yes, you can and you must. So get in there and be bold with your intelligence. Raise your hand, get support when you need it, and know that we all got here because somebody helped us. I want you all to stay true to the most real, most sincere, most authentic parts of yourselves. I want you to ask those basic questions. Who do you want to be? What inspires you? How do you want to give back? And then I want you to take a deep breath and trust yourselves to chart your own course and make your mark on the world. Maybe it feels like you're supposed to go to law school, but what you really want to do is teach little kids. Maybe your parents are expecting you to come back home after you graduate, but you're feeling a pull to travel the world. I want you to listen to those thoughts. I want you to act with both your mind, but also your heart. And no matter what path you choose, I want you to make sure it's you choosing it. and not someone else.
There's still life in your dream. There's still life in your call. There's still life in your purpose. There's still life in what God has called you to do. His name is Steve Wynn. He is a billionaire, according to Forbes magazine. He lives in Las Vegas, Nevada, and he has made just billions of dollars off casinos that he owns and hotels. He's most famous as a builder. But I want to tell you something that happened to him that I think speaks to your life tonight. In 2001, he's a lover of art, and he bought a painting for $50 million. This painting is called Le Rêve, L-E-R-E-V-E, which in French is the dream, and that's a picture of it. He paid $50 million because it was painted in 1932 by a man by the name of Pablo Picasso. And he paid $50 million for that painting. 50 million, y'all. Not because he's just an art collector. He loved that painting because it was called The Dream. And it meant something emotionally to him because he said, when I started, I had nothing but a dream to build and to do something with my life. And that painting, I've always wanted to own it. And when he got it, he bought it for $50 million. He held on to it for 5 years. He would put it in the lobbies of his expensive hotels in Vegas, and the customers and the people who were there gambling or going to shows or just, traveling and doing stuff, they would get to see The Dream in person by Picasso. Something happened just 5 years later. Even though he loved The Dream, he had a chance to get 2 other paintings that he had always wanted to own. And a man from New York City who is an investment banker named Cohen, Mr. Cohen, called him and said, I want to own The Dream and I will buy it from you. And they got to negotiating, and he said, I'll buy it for $139 million. 5 years later, he made, 80-something million dollars, $89 million off of this painting. And so Steve Wynn, because he so was emotionally attached to this painting, Steve Wynn said, I'm going to have a party before they take The Dream to New York City from Las Vegas. And they all came to the hotel where he was throwing this big party and everybody's having a big time. True story, Steve Wynn gets up and he has an eye disease and he has problems seeing. So he can't really measure distance well. And that night, to celebrate The Dream, he had it on an easel beside him, this painting. And he got to talking, and he moves his arms a lot. And as he was talking in front of some of the most famous and wealthy people in the world, he accidentally lost his equilibrium. He began to stumble, and when he did, he fell back, and to catch himself, his arm went against the painting that was on the easel, and he ripped his arm right through a $139 million dream. And the dream was torn. The dream was ripped. The dream was destroyed. People could not believe their eyes. He got on the phone and he called the man in New York City, and he said, I am so sorry. The dream has been destroyed. I had an accident. I don't know how I could have done it. I don't know how I failed. I don't understand. I couldn't catch myself, and I messed the dream up as I was falling. But he said to that New York investor, don't worry, I want to buy it back from you. I will pay you what you paid me, $139 million. That must not get in anybody's hands, and you can't just take it now and because it's been damaged and put it in some back closet somewhere. I want that in my hands because I'm not just an art collector, Steve Wynn said. I am an art lover, and I must have it, and I'll lose $89 million if you will let me take the damaged dream.
If you're not careful, you live in a constant state of anxiety, on the edge, worried about stuff. My biggest regret at 55 is all the things I worried about between 25 and 55. 85% of them never happen. But it doesn't matter that it doesn't happen if it steals your joy, if it robs you of your peace, if it stops you from celebrating the moments that God has given you. Because some people can't enjoy where they are for worrying about where they're going. It might be dark for you right now, but it's not over. You might be going through a season of the absence of a thing that you legitimately need, but it ain't over. You may have to function for a while without the absence of the thing you adore, but it's not over. You might have to go without what your neighbors have, but it's not over. For somebody struggling just to keep your head above water, you're smiling just to keep from crying. You're doing the best you can, but you put 1 foot forward and 2 steps are made back. You're trying, but things don't seem to be quite working out the way you planned. You thought you'd be in a different place at this season in your life. You're doing everything right, but you're still suffering. You see, to be anxious is to have anxiety over a threat that has not been executed. Just worried about stuff that hadn't happened. I'm under threat, and life is a threat. Full of threats.
Life is a fight for territory. And once you start fighting for what you want, what you don't want will automatically take over.
To really be able to persevere in times of trial and fiery difficulty.
I'm telling you right now, if you are going to birth your dream, your passion, and the second half of your life, you can't draw back when life gets tough. You've got to stand up to it and push. We have 1,000 reasons every day to have anxiety. The psychologist says that anxiety is like a pilot flying a plane, looking at all of the various gauges on before him and not understanding that the gauges are incorrect. It makes you think that you're flying lower than you are, that you're closer to destruction than you are, and you're reacting to the gauges as if you were about to crash, never realizing that anxiety breaks your gauges and you cannot trust your own senses. You can't trust your gauges, but you will get there. You may go through some stuff, but you will get there. You may be betrayed, but you will get there. You may even be delayed, but you will get there.
Life is difficult, and a resilient person is capable of standing up to things in the face of fear and moving forward voluntarily, convinced of their own competence and ability to prevail.
But not enough people are willing to build that mental, emotional toughness. And the moment they do, they'll persevere.
You face yourself, you realize you want to be better, you realize you don't want to be this weak, insecure person in the world who has all these problems that we all have. We all have. Spend time with yourself. Trust me. And once you find that passion and that purpose, your goals, your purpose, everything will just start lining up. And then you'll find the courage to start that journey from that 20 to 100.
Zig said most people in a fearful situation, they forget everything and run. But there are a small number, the road to life is straight and narrow, and few there be that find it, who face everything and rise. He said if the dream is big enough, the odds don't matter. And so when you say dream big, that's major. One, there's power in pursuit, because as Jim Rohn said, it's not the accomplishment of the goal that matters. It's what you become in pursuit of the dream in the process. Because when you have a big dream, it will introduce you to a part of yourself that you don't know right now, that you will never discover in your comfort zone. Because in order to achieve that dream, you've got to die to who you are now. I must die daily. You must die to who you are now to give birth to who you are to become. I believe that all of us have stories of greatness.
When trials and difficulties come, when your health starts to fail, when your children break your heart, when persecution comes just because you're trying to do the right thing, when difficulties, tough times, hard days, long nights, it is then that your faith kicks in to let you know that he's a very present help. Everything starts out good. And as long as it stays good, you don't know what you got. You don't know what you can do. You don't know what you can stand. You can't rely on a fair weather relationship. You don't even know who you're married to until all hell breaks loose. When the lightning is flashing and the thunder is raging and we're downsizing and we got to move into what looks like a closet, you don't know what you got till the storm breaks loose. It is the storm that defines character. It is how we react to the crisis that proves the depth of our relationship. If you just keep up your defense, you may rock a little bit. You may shake a little bit. You may have to buckle up. But you will get through this. But if you forsake the posture of protection and panic up under the threat of assault, then the enemy gets territory that he would never have because you relinquished your position. There's something that you could do, that you could think in your life that would radically change your life. Somebody could take the hand you've been dealt and win with it. Same circumstances, same ideas. They would do it through what they thought about your life. But we don't need somebody, because we got you. Discipline requires that you hold your position even when you're under fire. You can't speak peace outwardly if you have turmoil inwardly. If as long as you got peace on the inside, hell can be breaking loose on the outside. And you can speak out what you hold in. The worst storm in the world is not the one on the outside, but when it gets on the inside, you cannot speak what you do not have. A ship never goes down because the water is around it. It doesn't matter how much water is around it. It was designed to sail on top of the water. And as long as the storm is on the outside, the ship can sail through anything.
Don't look at it and say, why me? Look at it and say, why not you? And just get up and put one foot in front of the other and use your situation to add value to the world. The quicker you shift your perspective to add value to the world, the quicker you'll get to your situation and your circumstance.
Learn how to handle the winters. Just the winters of the calendar in the last 12 years, how many winters? About 12. But it's not just the winters of the calendar. It's not just the winters of the season. There's all kinds of winters. The winter when you have all kinds of hecklers on a telephone call. The winter when you can't figure it out. The winter when it all goes wrong. Right? The winter when you get that first half dozen refunds. The winters of your life. Social winters. Political winters that we're going through around the world. The economic winters that a lot of people are experiencing these days. Personal winters when your heart is smashed in 1,000 pieces and the nights are unusually long. It is simply called winter time. But here's what you've got to do in your own personal development, your own personal growth, and that is just get better at handling the winters. You can't change the winter, you can't change the seasons, but you can change yourself.
Never say, I don't know what it is that I got. What's most important, commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established. Commit yourself to do that which is in your heart. You were not born to work for a living, but to live your making. And living your making will make your living. We get paid to work on a job. That's what we get paid for. But your calling is something you're made for. What is it that you would do free? Something that you love it so much, you do it for free, and you do it so well that people will pay you to do it. That's your dream. That's your superpower.
You can get wiser and stronger and better. Wiser, stronger, better. Go home smarter than you came. Go home with more ideas than you came with. Next, get stronger. You can develop the muscle. You can develop the courage muscle. You can develop the inspiration muscle. You can develop the dedication muscle. You can get stronger. There isn't anybody here that can't get stronger. Next time we see you, may not even recognize you. How strong you're going to be able to become in language, in style, in personality, the ability to cope, the ability to handle with anything that happens, no matter what happens. And the third one is get better. We can all get better. I've gotten better. First talk I gave, I stood up, my mind sat back down. But here's the secret to my success. I stood up and did it again. Stood up and I did it again. And I did it again, and I did it again all those many years ago. I did it when I was scared, and I did it when I didn't want to, and I did it when I was ill. And I did it when it didn't work well, and I did it when they didn't appreciate it. I just did it anyway. And now all these years later, I got better. I got better day by day and week by week and month by month. And I'm asking you to do the same thing until you can develop a long arm and a long reach, until you can develop influence that won't quit. Touch people next year you couldn't touch this year. Touch people now you couldn't touch before. Conduct a meeting now you couldn't conduct before. Heart and soul now mixed in there that wasn't there, missing before. I'm asking all of you to get better in spite of the winters, in spite of the downturn. The money downturn, the social downturn, the personal downturn, whatever it is. Just get stronger. Get better. We've all got those personal winters. We know what those are like. Barbra Streisand sings, it used to be so natural to talk about forever, but used to be's don't count anymore. They just lay on the floor till we sweep them away. You don't sing me love songs. You don't say you need me. And you don't bring me flowers anymore. A winter song. But hey, we're acquainted with all those personal winters, all the rest of it. The key is not to wish for a better winter. The key is to wish for more strength, more wisdom, more courage, get better, get wiser, get stronger.
And do that. Because if it's something that resonates with you, it's something that's in your heart, where your heart is, there your treasure is also. Remember A.L. Williams said, all you can do is all you can do. And all you can do is enough. But make sure you do all you can do. We always go all in on something that we love. What's in your heart? Because where your heart is, there your treasure is also. In my book, I say, live a heart-centered life.
So as long as peace guards your heart and your mind, your life can go through anything. As long as you don't get so caught up in your swing, in your business, in your dream, in your hope, in your potentials, that you drop your guard. Stand right still. Steady yourself. Take control of the situation. No matter what you read, or what you heard, or what they say, or what they do. Don't drop your guard. You can make it through anything as long as you don't drop your guard.
Your scripture, here's what he said. I fought a good fight. See, that's extraordinary to be able to say. I fought for my kids and I fought for what was right. And I fought for my good health. And I fought to protect my company. And I fought for a good career that would bless my family. I fought a good fight. It's good to fight. The encroachment. Opposites are in conflict, and we're in the middle. And if you want something valuable, you got to fight for it. Then this writer also said, not only have I fought a good fight, and I'll finish with this, and I got a much longer list, but maybe I can cover these at another time. He said, I fought a good fight, and I kept the faith. See, that's the deal. Keep faith with your family. Fight like crazy and keep faith. Fight the enemy and keep faith. Fight illness and keep faith.